Roger, one of your cases, Casey Lynn Blevins, has showed up now today. State of Ohio versus Casey Lynn Blevins, case number CRB 24488, A and B. Casey Blevins.
Message over you. Let me get Super's hands.
Casey Blevins.
Oh, sorry.
No answer.
What? She was in here.
She had a white section on.
She had a baby.
Just here.
They had a baby.
She's coming in. Sorry, Judge, I didn't know she's here. I had her in here. We left it as a 7 days and eventual. So, are you doing the outpatient or not doing the outpatient? Because you said you should have, that's what didn't show up anymore.
No, the first 2 weeks, the transport had my mom's address, and they had different phone numbers and different addresses. And then after the first week, they thought they fixed it, but somehow they ended up going back.
To do the outpatient?
Yeah. I was.
Okay, I just.
Okay, Mr. Smith?
Judge, this is a case we spoke about this morning when Bree was here, that she had completed their program. She was supposed to be starting outpatient. She says she missed the first outpatient because they went to your mother's residence?
Yeah,
I'll let her explain. It's a transportation issue.
Yeah. Transport had the wrong address and phone number for me and thought they cleared it up, but somehow it ended up going back to that. So the next week they ended up going back to my mom's to get me. And then when she called me, my son, actually, that was the number they had. I don't know how they got that, but anyway, my son let me know. I called him and they ended up picking me up and they said they fixed that. They still didn't fix it, but I ended up doing a Zoom with my counselor, and that wasn't showing up because I was there this morning, and that wasn't showing on when the nurse told me. She said, it's not showing that you have any counselings down or groups. So she went back, and I guess they weren't pulling up the Zoom. I don't know, but
You were at OVP this morning to
yeah.
get screened?
Yes.
Judge, I'd ask it, we put it back on, and of course we didn't want to send it as a felony, but there was going to be a warrant out of this court. I would ask we...
Well, I think we should do a screen today.
Okay, sure.
Let's do
I
a
was just
screen
gonna
and then
be
we'll
earlier.
have her come back.
Yeah, no.
Let's do one for the court.
Okay.
We'll call you back up. Yeah, there's somebody here that can...
Yeah, we can.
Just go through, we'll call you back up.
State of Ohio versus Billy E. McKenzie, case number CRA 24497, A and B. And State of Ohio versus Virginia M. McGlone, case number CRA 24498, A and B. They're back in holding, Your Honor.
Okay, we can bring them out. Mr. Steyer represents Mr. McKenzie. Ms. McGlone is represented by Mr. Stratton, and he's apparently unavailable today in a jury trial.
Your Honor, I've spoken to Mr. McKenzie, and I think what happened was basically a misunderstanding. They came to the end of their time at 2.5 level of care, and they believed that was all they were ordered to do. They were contacted again by TCC, who told them we probably should consider some transitional. So they went and signed up transitional at, where did you go? To Restoring Hope, which is not a program that traditionally has any money here. Apparently what happened was the insurance on each of them was no longer willing to pay for 2.5 level of care. So they were going to move to a level between 2.5 and outpatient. But they took that to mean they had graduated 2.5. They hadn't really graduated so much as, again, the money ran out, and so other arrangements were made. I don't think there was any malice here. I think they, like I said, they thought they were ordered to do inpatient, did the inpatient, they were done. They came to court when they came to court today. They were supposed to be here. Thought everything was okay. apparently, like, again, they're just restoring hope. I don't believe we have a report from them, and I'm not aware that they have anyone here. But, and I also don't represent Ms. McClone, but my understanding is the same situation applies to both. So I would ask that we give them another date back. At this point, I would really, since they're established, and I think they're even staying in, you're actually at their facility in South Point. I would ask that we get another date back and that we see if we can get Restored Hope back and give us a report. And if they're being successful in their treatment there and comply with treatment there, that they be allowed to continue on at that facility.
Mr. Smith?
Judge, I agree. I know Virginia from before. And what she does, I believe, she had no intent to try to, for lack of a better legal term, pull one over on the court. She thought because they graduated the inpatient, this was something they could do on their own. They're doing it. I would ask that we also come back on behalf of Mr. Stroud.
Mr. Major, you have anything?
I was not contacted, Your Honor. I knew nothing about it. As far as them leaving, I don't know this new facility. I don't know much about it.
Mr. Turbin, do you have any qualm with anything that's been represented to the court, or?
No, Your Honor. Do you remember me calling about these two?
I do not.
Okay.
But I'm sure if he says he did, Your Honor.
Like I said, Your Honor, I did follow up with them a couple days after I seen the ASA email to try to re-engage them into services, but like I said, they had already enrolled. Like, they didn't waste any time. I will give them that. They went and enrolled in the services with another program pretty much immediately.
Okay. Well, since I'm not familiar with this program, and I don't have a report from them, I wanted to do a screen today. And then let's see what that shows.
Your Honor, the director of Sandra Gale at Restoring Hope, so they were supposed to have sent a report here Friday to Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. And she was supposed to have an advocate here with us as well. So I don't know what happened there, I have no idea, so better name is Sandra Gale.
I'll check to see if I can find it, Your Honor. I haven't received it as of yet.
State of Ohio versus Dimitri Callens, case number CRS 24702, A, B, and C.
This case is set for preliminary hearing today. Defendant ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge.
State's ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Call your witness.
My first witness is Harold E. Maynard.
Harold Maynard.
There are two Harold Maynards, Your Honor.
Harold E. Middle initial E. If you come up to the witness stand, sir, I'll swear you in. Please raise your right hand. You swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. You may be seated, sir.
Your Honor, if we may, before proceeding, I'd like to ask for separation of witnesses. I think everybody came in the courtroom at the same time.
I noticed that, Judge. I was going to ask the same thing.
Okay, anyone that's going to be called as a witness will have to stay out of the courtroom until you're actually called. That way, we want to hear what you know, not what you hear somebody else testify to. So, okay, looks like nobody's leaving. I assume they all think they're not going to testify.
I believe we're ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Maynard, if you can tell me your name and your address for the record.
My name is Harold E. Maynard. My address is 16, but I don't know the whole address.
Okay. Do you live here in Lawrence County, Ohio?
Yes,
Okay. And how long have you lived here?
30+ years.
Okay. And do you know Dimitri Callen?
No, I do not.
You don't?
I don't. I've
Okay.
never seen him in my life.
Okay. Did you have contact with Dimitri Callen on October 30th of this year?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see Dimitri Callen in the courtroom here today? Do you care to point him out for me?
Record will show you pointed to the defendant.
Okay. And tell me how you came into contact with Mr. Callen on October 30th.
We came up to, I guess, Brianna's aunt or whoever it is, to pick up my son like we've always done. We pulled in the driveway.
And where is this home that you were going to on that day?
Right here in Chesapeake, I don't know.
Okay, here in Lawrence County? Okay, go ahead.
We pulled up in there. I mean, I don't know whose car was inside my Jeep or Blazer, I mean. And, because normally my son comes straight out and gets in the car and we leave. Unless he come out, and him and Dimitri had words. Then they had an altercation, and my son said he cut him, stabbed him or something. And that's when I came around to break it up, and I got cut in my left hand and my throat.
And when you say you got cut, can you elaborate on that? What exactly happened when you got cut?
I mean, when I got around there, and I done got hit with a knife. I don't know what kind of knife, but it hit between my fingers to the bone, and then and hit my neck.
Okay. Who was holding the knife?
Dimitri,
Mr. Callen?
Mr. Callen, whatever.
Okay. Tell me about your injuries.
Well, between this thing and this one, somehow it hit right here, under the bone, to my nose. And I didn't really know nothing about my neck until the sheriff got there and pointed it out, but they glued it.
Okay, okay. And how long did the whole altercation between you and Mr. Callen last, would you say?
Not long, but as soon as I realized I was cut, I felt the blood on my hand, my heat. I went to the back of my blazer.
Okay. And did you have any other interaction with Mr. Callen other than what you described here today?
No,
Okay. And you didn't have any words with Mr. Callen prior to?
no.
So it sounds like you were just intervening between he and your son then, is that correct?
More or less.
Okay. I don't have any other questions for this witness, Your Honor.
You may cross-examine, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you indicated you do not know my client at all,
No,
had not met him before that day.
never.
And when you saw my client and your son having some type of altercation, did you interject yourself in that altercation?
No, I went to separate them to get them away.
Okay, well, I see, and that's, so you approached the altercation?
I went to my son, yes.
Okay. And do you know if there are any security cameras in this residence?
I have no idea, sir.
Okay, so you, and whose residence was it you went to?
It was, I guess, a girl's aunt or something.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know none of them.
You said his girl, is that my client's ex-girlfriend, or do you know who she was?
Yeah, I know her,
Okay, and was she, at this time, dating your son?
yes,
Okay, did your son have a driver's license?
yes.
Okay. Okay. And you went to pick him up with your wife?
Wife,
Okay.
and two of my daughters was in the vehicle also with me.
Did the, what are your daughters' names, please?
Angel Manor and Linda Manor.
Did they at any time get out of your blazer?
They got out of the blazer when, after the altercation, and he took off. He went through the neighbor's yard and hit the wife with the vehicle. That's the only time they got out of the vehicle.
When you first arrived at the scene, had the altercation already begun, or did it start after you got there? Did you pull up in it? Tell me how it happened. When you pulled up, do you see them fighting?
When I pulled up, I see my son coming out.
Okay. Of the house?
Of the house, down the wheelchair ramp.
Okay, towards my client,
I mean, he would have had to come there because I was parked behind him.
behind my client?
Yeah, because I had no other way to get off the road.
Okay, so were you right behind it? Could he back up and get it? out of there, or were you pretty much against his bumper?
I wasn't against the bumper, I mean, he could have backed up without hitting me.
Okay. Okay. So you parked behind his vehicle and you saw your son come down the wheelchair ramp towards my client. Where, was my client still in his car? Was he outside of his car? Where was my client?
He was outside the car, then he didn't get in the car until he was ready to leave.
Did either you or your son have a gun present with you that night?
They searched our vehicle.
Okay. Do either of you own a gun?
No,
So neither one of you own a gun, and you say you didn't have one that day?
I don't have none.
If a witness to the incident indicates you or your son had a gun, that would be mistaken?
Yes. I let the sheriff search our vehicle. Well, I had my daughter let him search her vehicle, because I went straight to my ambulance to Cabell Huntington.
How long from the time this incident happened until the deputy arrived?
It wasn't very long. But when I-
5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour? I know you don't look at your watch, but roughly. Several minutes?
It was pretty close. As soon as he left, 3 cars of the sheriff pulled in right behind him.
Did you give a formal recorded or written statement to any of the law enforcement officers?
No, I didn't.
Have you been interviewed by any of the law enforcement officers or a detective from the sheriff's department?
No. Because they sent me straight to the hospital.
Did you have to stay in the hospital or were you
No,
treated and
they
released?
released me that morning sometime.
Okay. Nothing further from this witness, Judge.
Can you redirect?
No, Your Honor.
You may sit down, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Harold A. Mine.
Mr. Mayor, if you come in to the witness stand, I'll swear you in after you step up on this. Raise your right hand, sir. You swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, sir. You may be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Maynard, give me your name and your address for the record.
Harold Maynard, 16 Township Road, 5264. Should be.
Okay, and where is that located?
That's South Point.
South Point, Ohio?
Yes.
Okay. And who do you reside there with?
My family, my sister, mom, and my other sister, and my nephews.
Okay. And do you know Dimitri Callen?
No.
You don't know him?
No.
Okay. Did you have contact with him on October 30th of this year?
October 30th.
When this incident occurred?
Yes.
Did this incident occur on October 30th of this year?
I'm not sure.
Okay. When this incident occurred, was that the only time that you have had contact with Mr. Callen?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see Mr. Callen here in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Okay. Do you care to point him out for me?
Record will show you point of the defendant.
And what is your understanding of how you came into contact with Mr. Callen on the day that this incident occurred?
I don't understand. Say it again. Sorry.
Okay. How did you come into contact with Mr. Callen on that day?
I was just in the restaurant. I was in Huntington eating, and he had walked in. We didn't exactly make contact there. I went to leave, and he was sitting outside of the restaurant in his vehicle, and I got into the car, and he started yelling at me, saying things, and from there, he then followed us across the Huntington Bridge.
And when you say us, who were you with that day at the
I was
restaurant?
with Brenda, I was with Bree, myself, and the baby.
Okay. And when you say Bree, is that your girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what is her name?
Brianna, friend.
Okay. And does she have a child with Mr. Callen?
Yes.
Okay. So that would be your connection to Mr. Callen then. You are dating Brianna, correct?
Correct.
And she has a child with Mr. Callen?
Correct.
Okay. But you had not met Mr. Callen prior to this day, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then what happened once you left the restaurant in Huntington?
he followed us. We made contact with Chesapeake Police. We informed them about the information, told them what was going on. They told us just to go on home. We did. We went to Brenda's. It's right here in Chesapeake.
And who is Brenda?
Brenda is her aunt, and he just kept driving by, whatnot. And so I was waiting on my parents at this moment. My parents arrived. I walked outside. He then attacked me. I hollered at my dad. Then he started stabbing at me and my dad. And from there, I hollered at my dad. He stabbed my dad. We backed up. And he jumped in his Jeep, hit my sister's car. Then he pulled forward and ran my mom over.
Okay. Did you have any injuries as a result of this incident?
On my phone.
Okay, and how did that occur?
He hit me with a knife.
Okay. Did you have any words with Mr. Callen prior to the altercation beginning?
No.
Okay. So can you just...
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
He has made threats to me via text, but it was
Prior to this day?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what exactly happened once Mr. Callen got to Brianna's aunt's house then?
He pulled in there. I was getting picked up. That's what I do. I just get picked up.
By your parents?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was getting picked up. I came out. He jumped out, started attacking me. Simply stated, I told my dad. I hollered for my dad, and he came around and he started stabbing at me and my dad.
Okay. How long would you say the altercation lasted between you and your dad and Mr. Callen?
Not sure.
Okay. Was it a long drawn out altercation or did it happen pretty quickly?
It happened fairly quickly.
Okay. And then what did Mr. Callen do at that point, once you all had the altercation?
He then ran and he jumped back in his vehicle. He backed up, he hit my sister's vehicle, then he pulled forward and hit my mother.
With the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And you've not had any other contact with Mr. Callen other than what you described then, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this all occurred at Brianna's aunt's house, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Here in Chesapeake, Ohio?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Judge. So, when I hear your testimony, you were eating dinner here, or not here, over in Huntington, correct?
Correct.
And my client yelled something at you,
Correct.
and you decided it's better to just leave, so you left.
That's correct.
Who was with you when you left?
There was her aunt, my girlfriend's aunt, my girlfriend, and her baby.
On the same vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Who was driving the vehicle?
Her aunt.
Do you have a driver's license?
Yes, sir.
Do you own a firearm?
No, sir.
Okay, did you have one, if you didn't own one, did you have one with you on the date of the incident?
No, sir.
Did your father?
No, sir.
You said something about he had sent you text prior to the date in question. Did you save those texts?
Yes, sir.
Have you turned them over to law enforcement?
Yes, they should be.
Let's go. Go get it. Go get the text. But I'm sorry, you said you did turn them over to law enforcement?
Yes, sir. We just talked about it out there in the front.
Okay. Do you know this residence where the incident happened? Is that the aunt's residence?
Yes, sir.
Have you been there before?
Yeah.
All right. Do you know if, what's the aunt's name, Brenda?
Brenda.
Does Brenda have security cameras on the outside of her house? Do you know?
I don't know of no.
Okay. She might, you just don't know.
Mhm.
Never paid, okay, that's fair. And how many police officers showed up on the scene, would you say? I think you said 3 cruisers, is that right?
Yes, sir. I think that's correct.
So at least 3.
It's 3.
Initially.
3 or 4, yeah.
Do you know if they had body-worn cameras?
Yes, sir.
Okay, they did, okay. Now, when you received the injury to your thumb that you held up and showed us here in court,
Yes, sir.
isn't it true that's a result of you striking my client when he was seated in his vehicle?
Again?
I said, isn't it true you received that injury when you struck my client who was seated in his vehicle at the time you received that injury? Where were you when you received that injury in relationship to his car?
I was standing outside of his vehicle, and then he jumped out.
So you deny punching my client through the window?
No.
And you, I don't know if it was you, somebody in the car notified Chesapeake Police that my client was allegedly following the vehicle, correct? Was that as you were crossing the bridge, before you crossed the bridge, after you crossed the bridge? Do you know when that call was made?
Yes, we just across the bridge, there was a Chesapeake unit, had somebody pulled over. Her aunt, she then pulled over in the middle while he pulled over in front of us. And then he took off. Then we got in contact with the Chesapeake trooper, the Chesapeake cop. And we told him, and from there, he just told us just to go home. He was gonna write everything down, and he left. But we made contact with Chesapeake right at the end of the bridge. Had somebody pulled over.
And then he did, I'm assuming it's the police officer from Chesapeake did not proceed to try to follow my client. He just stayed right there and spoke to you?
Yeah. He said, give me a minute, and I'll be over there and talk to you.
Okay. Did you give him any type of written statement, or did he record your statement?
He just asked us what was going on. He said he's going to go see if he can find them.
Okay, when you say asked us, were you the one who gave the information, or was somebody else in the car give him information? Judge, no further question of this witness at this time.
Redirect.
Just to clarify, Your Honor, when Mr. Callen got to Brianna's aunt's residence, is your testimony that he was inside the vehicle when he got there, correct?
Yes.
And then, did he get out of the vehicle, or did you come over to the vehicle, or explain that to me, what happened?
So I came out to get into my mom's vehicle, my sister's, sorry, and then he had jumped out. But then there started altercations with me. He started altercations with me, started slinging a knife at me. I then hollered for my dad. My dad came around. My dad got stabbed. Once that happened, we backed up. He then jumped into his vehicle and hit my sisters and then ran my mother over.
Okay, so Mr. Callen was already there whenever your mom and dad pulled up then, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any altercation with Mr. Callen then prior to your mom and dad getting there? No? Okay. So you were walking to your parents' car whenever he jumped out of the car, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, it raises no recross, Judge. Thank you.
You may sit down, sir. Thank you. Ma'am, I can tell by the way you're holding your hand, you can't raise that arm or?
A little bit.
There, that's good enough. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Waldo?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Maynard, if you can give me your name and your address for the record, please.
Willa Maynard, 16 Township Road, 1342 South Point, Ohio.
Okay. And you are married to Harold E. Maynard, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are the mother of Harold A. Maynard, both who we've heard from today, is that
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Okay. And did you know Dimitri Callen?
No, I've never seen him before in my life.
Okay. But you had contact with him on October 30th of this year, is that correct?
When I went and picked up my son from his girlfriend.
Yes. Okay. Tell me about what occurred on October 30th when you went to pick up your son.
Well, when I go to pick him, I don't even know like her family, so I don't go to their house.
And when you say her, do you mean Brianna?
Brianna, his
Okay.
girl, my son's girlfriend.
Okay.
I don't know her like that, her family. And so I just pull up and get him and go. So that night, I tell my daughter, pull up, because he comes out, when he looks out a picture window, they got a picture window. And I seen him coming out, but then I heard, he cut me. And then my husband got out of the car and ran around the Blazer we was in. And then I heard, I got stabbed. And I was like, what's going on? Because I wasn't out at the time. So then I got scared and I got out. And when I did, I walked to the other yard, another lady's yard, a neighbor's. And he started his vehicle, backed into my daughter, backed into her again. I grabbed the phone, but it wasn't mine. I thought it was mine, but it belonged to my daughter. And I was trying to call 911, and my husband hollered, watch out. I turned around. He was coming around the yard, and I literally looked him in the face, and he turned the steering wheel and hit me.
Okay, and Mr. Callen was driving the vehicle that hit you, is that correct?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. So you were in the vehicle when the altercation between Mr. Callen and both your husband and your son occurred, is that correct?
Yeah. When I got out, as I was going around the Blazer, is when I seen him jumping back in his vehicle.
Okay. And your daughter was also in the vehicle, is that correct?
Two of my daughters was in the vehicle.
Okay.
Because me and my youngest daughter had been out sparking, Walmart sparking all day. That's what she does for a living. And I ride with her.
Okay. All right. So when you say Mr. Callen backed into your daughters were in the vehicle, and are you referring to his vehicle was backing into your vehicle?
He backed into her vehicle, then he pulled back up and backed into it again.
Okay. And then at that point, you got out of the vehicle?
Yeah, but I was scared to get out that end, so I crawled over to the driver's side and got out.
Okay. And then what happened then when you got out of the vehicle at that point?
After that, I just remember grabbing a phone, and I thought it was mine. I ran over to the other yard. When I got over there, I realized it needed a passcode, wrong phone. Then my husband hollered. I turned around, and I seen him coming off of that driveway right toward me. And he turned the wheel and hit me. I fell, that's all I remember. When I woke up, I was on the porch.
Okay. Did you sustain any injuries as a result of this?
Just a lot of bruising and tore ligaments.
Okay. And you did not know Mr. Callen prior to this day then, is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Were you standing in a driveway or in a yard, or where were you standing exactly when this occurred?
In a yard. A lady, I don't know who the lady is, but it's the yard beside of where we went to Brianna's.
Okay. And you don't remember anything after that, is that correct?
Not after that.
Okay. Were you taken to the hospital at that time?
Yeah, as soon as they got there. They got there pretty quick.
Okay. And then by the time you remember anything, you were already at the hospital, is that correct?
No, I was sitting on the porch,
Okay.
on the steps.
Okay. Were you admitted at the hospital?
No,
Okay, you were just checked out at that point?
yes.
Okay. And did you have any other involvement then in this situation other than what you've described here today?
No.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Judge. I'm a little bit confused by your testimony. You said or testified you don't know these people that well, so the situation you had with your son was he would look out the picture window to see when you pulled up and he'd come out to the vehicle.
Yes.
Okay. And when he came out the vehicle, you said he cut me.
Once everything got started, I didn't even know there was anybody in the Jeep.
Okay, so you...
There was no lights on.
Okay.
It was pitch dark.
Where was my client when you first pulled up behind, or your husband pulled up behind his Jeep?
I don't know where he was.
Okay.
Because I didn't see anybody around the Jeep or in the Jeep or...
So when he first came out of the house to get in the car, that's not when he said he cut me?
Excuse me?
When your son first came out of the house, he sees you through the window, presumably he comes out. At what point does he say he cut me?
A couple minutes after my daughter seen him come out the door. He comes out the door, he comes down a wheelchair ramp and walks down the driveway every time I pick him up.
That's what he did this time, October 30th.
That's what he started to do this time,
Okay.
until he was approached, from what I was told.
Well, not what did you see? You said you didn't see my client, where he came from.
No, I didn't see where he came from because I didn't see, I wasn't out of the car.
Is it dark at this time? Is it daylight? What time
It's
of day
dark.
is it? Okay. Okay. When you... Your husband parked the Blazer traveling behind my client's Jeep, is that correct?
My daughter did.
Your
My
daughter,
daughter was driving.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, but, so there were 4 people in your car, your 2 daughters, your husband, yourself.
Yes,
And which daughter was driving the Blazer?
the youngest one, Linda.
I have nothing further, Judge, from this witness.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
You may step down, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Call Mr. Lehman.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Lehman, if you can give me your name and where you're employed for the record.
Brad Lehman, Lawrence County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. And what do you do for the Sheriff's Department?
I'm a detective sergeant for the Sheriff's Office.
Okay. And you were involved in the investigation regarding Mr. Callen?
Yes.
Do you see Mr. Callen here in the courtroom
I do.
today? Okay.
Record show you pointed to the defendant.
Okay. And tell me about your involvement with the investigation involving Mr. Callen.
So I received a phone call on the evening of the 30th. I don't recall exactly what time it was. There had been an incident. I believe the address was 10592 County Road 1. So just here in Chesapeake. I was advised that there had been 2 people stabbed, one in the throat, and someone else hit by a vehicle. So I left my residence and went directly to the scene. As I was pulling into the scene, I was then notified over the radio that another deputy had actually made contact with Mr. Callen at his house. So I then left there and went to his house to speak with Mr. Callen.
Okay, so he did leave the scene and make it to his home then on that night, is that
Yes,
correct?
Chesapeake Police and Deputy Wardbon actually made contact with him at his house.
Okay. And tell me about your contact then with him once you got to his home.
So I actually had him removed from the patrol vehicle that he was in. I set him down in the front seat of my car. I advised him of his rights, and he agreed to speak with me, saying that he understood him. And speaking with him, I asked him just to kind of walk me through what had happened. He said that he had been earlier in the day, he went to his friend's house in South Point, and they had left and went over to a Chinese buffet in Huntington, where they were eating, and his ex-girlfriend, Brianna Friend, and her new boyfriend, Harold Maynard, actually came into the restaurant. He said that they then left and went back to Jaden's house in South Point, which is the friend. And then he left from there when he got his vehicle back and drove back to the Chinese restaurant where Miss Friend and Mr. Maynard were at. He then left there, and he stated that they drove back across the bridge. He said that he was behind him, but he wasn't following them or anything like that. He was just coming home. And then he turned out Big Branch, out County Road 31, as they continued straight. He said he sat there for a few minutes and realized that he forgot his cards. I'm assuming he meant like his wallet, his debit cards and things like that at his friend's house. So he left there and went back to his friend's house to get that. He said that's when he drove past them on County Road 1, the house the first time. Coming back, he decided he wanted to stop and talk to Brenda. He said he had a relationship with her, so he wanted to stop and talk with her. He stated he stopped and was talking with her, and then an altercation began between him and Harold Maynard, Brianna's boyfriend. He stated that he had been punched and that they waved a gun, and that he grabbed a knife and started stabbing at him and cutting him, and then he ended up cutting, he said, 2 people, and as he was driving, he hit one female. I asked him if he hit anything when he left, and he said, yeah, I think I hit a woman when I left.
Okay. Was Was the knife recovered from the scene?
So I asked him where the knife was, and he said it was in his bedroom. I asked for consent to go get it. He told me no. So I then went and applied for a search warrant, was able to get a search warrant, and went into the bedroom and recovered a machete from the floor.
And it's your understanding that was the weapon that was used in this matter?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. Are you aware of any gun that was recovered from the scene?
No, so since then I've spoke with Will Maynard, Harold Maynard, the son, and Brianna Friend, and all deny there being a gun involved. I tried to make contact with the homeowner, Brenda, a couple times, and I actually had a voicemail this morning from her that she had actually got my card, so I need to reach back out to her and speak with her.
Okay, so at this point, you don't have any knowledge of there being a gun at the scene?
Correct.
Okay. But the investigation is still ongoing,
Yes.
is that correct? Okay. Do you have any other information, or have you had any other further contact with Mr. Callen since the evening that this occurred?
No.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Judge. So my client told you that one of these alleged victims had a gun, correct?
Correct.
Has anybody else, I'm presuming Brenda, told you they did or didn't see a gun?
So I have not spoke with Brenda, however, in Deputy Chin's report, he had spoke with Brenda, and she stated that she saw a firearm.
Okay. This is the aunt who owns the residence or lives at the residence?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So she says she saw that. What deputies arrived on scene? Do you have that in your report?
It's Deputy Chin, Sergeant Sisler, and Deputy Atkins.
Okay.
Deputy Orsbon was also, but I don't know if he actually went to the scene or if he just went to Mr. Callen's residence. I don't know that.
But there's a log of who arrived, who went in and out of the scene.
When I arrived there first, before I went to Mr. Callen's, it was Deputy Atkins, Sergeant Sisler, and Deputy Chin.
And do you know, or have you had a chance to look and see if there are any security cameras on the residence?
So I went back up there the next day. I did not see any. There was a Ring doorbell across the street. I made contact with the homeowner there, and they said they did not pay for the subscription. They allowed me to look through their phone and see if I could find any video, and nothing was saved. But I was not able to find any video in the immediate area there.
Okay. Did the deputies, I presume, have their body-worn cameras on?
Yeah, from my knowledge, yes.
And have you had a chance to view any of that footage from the body cams? Okay. But that's something you will preserve as this case progresses?
Correct. They're saved for at least 6 years.
Okay. How many people actually witnessed the incident? Now, sounds like several people were there.
So from my knowledge,
Yes.
the witnesses would be Mr. Callen, the three Mr. Maynard, Harold Maynard, Willa Maynard, the two daughters, Linda, and I don't recall the other one's name, Brianna, and Brenda Atkins.
Nobody else came forward and said, hey, I don't live here, I was driving by, but I saw what happened. So
No, sir. No.
those are, as you understand, those are the witnesses.
Yes.
When you say you had to get a search warrant to recover the machete, was it hidden in the bedroom? Was it just, where was it?
So if you walk into the bedroom, and I photographed it as I retrieved it. If you walk into the bedroom, there appears to be like a desk, almost like a gaming desk with a monitor and thing on it, a few other things. And then down on the floor to the right of it, the machete was laying on the ground.
Okay, it wasn't hidden behind a secret panel under a bunch of clothes?
No, it was just laying on the floor next to the desk.
Okay, so he did not try to hide the machete?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, because you found it pretty easily. Look,
Right,
there it is.
I can't testify what he was thinking when he placed it there.
And no firearm was ever recovered at the scene or on the person of any of the alleged victims?
No, sir.
Do you know how long it took for the deputies to arrive on scene after the 911 call was made?
I do not.
Okay. But that would really depend on what proximity they were to the residence, right?
Correct, yeah.
But they weren't on scene when it happened. There's no evidence they saw anything.
Correct.
Went and took statements. So if there was a gun, somebody would have had a chance to hide the gun if they wanted to.
I mean, I don't.
Okay.
I don't know how long it was before they got there.
Okay. Would the call log show that?
Yes, call log.
Okay, so there is, okay, and I'll defer that line of questioning to necessary. I have no further words or questions, Judge.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
May sit down, thank you.
I don't have any other witnesses, Your Honor.
Any evidence from the defendant?
The state has called no witnesses this hearing, Judge. Or the defense, I'm sorry.
I find that there is sufficient evidence for probable cause, and we'll bind this case over to the grand jury.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Calls Casey Lynn Blevins, case number CRA 24487, CRA 24488, A and B.
I have not seen the results yet, Judge. Judge, I shared the results with my client. She says she was aware it would show positive for methamphetamine. She's not aware of the fentanyl. Like you've said many times before, you don't know what you're buying to get illegal drugs, so while it does show positive, she did not intend to take fentanyl, but if she took the meth, who knows? But she did appear at OVP this morning. I don't know the transportation issue, what the status is. I guess they could get her now, but she's supposed to be an outpatient and is willing to do outpatient.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
We put together, okay, I made a mistake Thursday last week. I did. I was honest with them at OVP about it. We put together, I don't know what you would call it. Yeah, treatment plan, there you go. I know it's not showing a lot of different counseling or things that I've done there. Even though there has been a few, there hasn't been as many as what I'm supposed to have, because like I said, the first couple weeks, they had my addresses and stuff wrong, but I have done drug screens through the whole time, and they'll show that I have not done anything. I made a mistake Thursday of last week, and I take full responsibility for that, I do, but I've done really good as far as, I've done drugs a long time, and I've had my kids back in my life. My daughter's at my house now. I have my grandkids all the time. I don't want this to be something that sets me back. Nobody's kicking myself in the butt more than me. Like I know the mistakes I made, and I would really appreciate the chance to, again, prove myself, should I say.
What's the state's position?
Your Honor, I believe everybody's main concern is probably just to make sure that she gets back in treatment.
Do you have an appointment coming up for OVP?
Thursday. They're letting me do 2 different ones because I said I would rather do.
She says she has an appointment Thursday. Other than the THC, whatever should be out of her system, she should have a drug screen that shows Friday she has nothing but possibly THC, given how long that stays in her system. I would ask to come back Friday, let her prove she went to that appointment, and have those substances out of her system, and let OVP bring a report and put on the record what the treatment plan they have set up for her is.
Well, my concern mostly is that she needs more treatment than what she's received today. Appears that she did the 30-day ODP inpatient. Is that
I believe that's
Yes.
correct, and
Yes.
successfully.
You're doing outpatient in Huntington?
Yes. I haven't been able to get, like I said, with them having all my information messed up, I haven't been getting any groups, and it's the big groups, not the one-on-one, that I don't really, I'm not saying I don't get anything out of that, but it's the groups that I really take. I mean, I love the groups, and I haven't been able to do many of those, so that's why this morning we put it together, Friday and this morning, because she made sure that transport had all the right information for me so that it doesn't happen again. That way I can have two different, not just the one-on-one, but also the groups twice a week rather than just every other week.
Just texted a copy of your results to ODP. So when you were inpatient before, where you said you got children, grandchildren, whatever, living with you now, where were they while you were inpatient?
No, they don't live with me. When I was on drugs, I was not able to get my kids. I wasn't able to get them to come to my house or for sure stay the night with me. And, I mean, I couldn't even say I was proud of who I was for a long time. Like, that's something, getting my kids and being proud of who I am. And I mean, I just feel like I'm getting somewhere, and I know I made a mistake. I don't want it to take me back.
Well, this could take you, I mean, what you're testing for can take you all the way out. You mean, you tested positive for fentanyl.
I was not aware that at all, that what I knew that I was doing was meth,
They
Thursday, I don't know what else was in
put fentanyl on
there.
everything now, so.
Yes.
It's
If you
even
get
showing
anything off the
alcohol, that
street,
doesn't
it
even
has
make any
fentanyl.
sense.
I'm sorry?
It's even, they said it even showed alcohol, and that doesn't, and I don't even smoke weed, like I haven't done that in probably 20 years. So I don't even know how, I don't know, I mean. I can do this, and I do want this.
Well, let me see if Brianna can come back. Okay, well, she thought she was texting me back, but nothing's showing up. All right, she is coming back, so I want her to stay, talk to Brianna, and then we'll fly you back out after we talk with her. Thank you.
State of Ohio recalls Virginia Malone, case number CRA 24498 A and B, and Billy McKenzie, case number CRA 24497 A and B.
Have you seen the results?
No, I haven't. I think Mr. Major may have some information regarding at least one of the sets of results.
Okay.
Your Honor, I did find a report from the counseling center that was sent to me. That's the only one I found. That's for Virginia.
Okay.
And that's when they left. You're welcome. And as far as the test results, before Ryan left, he did call down and she did have some false positive results through them on the fentanyl.
Okay.
She's on some new prescription that doesn't have a false positive prescription.
Well, she told me that, and I did have Mr. Tarvin call down and see if she had any while she was there, and he said yes, she did have some false positives for fentanyl while she was at that facility.
The Suboxone, I believe, is prescribed through the treatment center, or through treatment at any rate, through that center, or through an outside agency, but obviously the alcohol on Mr. McGuire, sorry, not McKenzie, I'm sorry, I used our mother. On Mr. McKenzie, that's always nothing to see. He believes that may be related to the use of breath, mouthwash. I have no idea about that. My advice to him would be to make sure that's not an issue going forward. I don't see anything that looks like street drugs on his test. He leads me to believe that he's at least making some progress in his treatment. I would ask that he be allowed to, again, continue treatment where he is, set this out relatively shortly, and try to get the treatment provider to send a report, maybe even actually come in and talk to the board, talk to the probation department about the program.
And the name of the program is?
It's Restoring Hope.
Restoring Hope, and they're located in South Point.
I think we had another one from there today, but.
I've never been reached out from that agency, Your Honor. I've not spoke to them. I don't know anything about it, so.
Okay, well, let's set it back pretty quickly.
Yes, sir. So this is Mr. Stratton's case, I would just remind y'all.
Okay.
Check with him.
The 15th?
Of November?
Yes.
I'm on the docket that day, and I guess that should give us time for if there's an issue for Mr. Stratton to reach us. And if need be, if it needs to be changed, and, they're going to both be changed the same day, I would agree to that. But for the moment, 15 is fine.
Okay, 15th, and we'll expect to get a report from Restoring Hope, and I'd like for them to have a representative.
Thank you.
Okay, court's in recess. Still got that one case. Are we okay?
Yeah, I think it's just, thanks, Jenna.